afternoon, everybody. My name is Siviwa Kwakube. I'm the DA's national spokesperson. Joined here with me is the DA Leader John Steenhuisen, and he's here to tell us a little bit more about our court case that we have filed the papers for this afternoon. John, over to you.
Thank you very much, Siviwa. On Monday last week, the Democratic Alliance's lawyers wrote to President Ramaphosa and set out a key set of questions to him, which we required answers to. To date, we've received no response whatsoever from the President, and we have not received a comprehensive vaccine rollout plan for South Africa, which leaves us today with no choice other than to approach the courts. And so today, as we speak, our lawyers are making an urgent application to the Western Cape High Court in order to compel government to obtain a declarator to compel government to set out a very clear plan about how it's going to procure vaccines and what the preparation for this vaccine rollout will be. We believe that the failure of government to provide vaccines is a violation of a number of constitutional principles. Section 27(1), which very clearly sets out that people have the right to have access to healthcare services, as well as 27(2), which means that reasonable measures must be taken to ensure a progressive realization of access to healthcare. Further, we believe that it is a violation of Section 11 of the Bill of Rights, which says that every South African has a right to life, but also that falls short of the constitutional provision for decisions to be rational and reasonable. The failure of government to obtain sufficient vaccines, knowing they were available and when they were available, we believe is unreasonable and irrational. The relief that we're seeking in the High Court is very similar to the relief that was granted to the Treatment Action Campaign over a decade ago, when they too were compelled to take government to court to ensure that they provided a very clear plan around the rollout of nevirapine and other ARVs to pregnant mothers. We believe that having a clear, transparent plan is absolutely critical to ensure that as opposition parties, as the media, as well as civil society, we are able to hold government accountable to their undertakings. We believe that we need to know a number of key things: where we're procuring vaccines from, where they're going to come from, when they're going to arrive in South Africa, and what the plan is to vaccinate that magical number of 40% of the population, so that we can move out of the only tool government has at its disposal at the moment, which are rolling lockdowns, which we've seen are killing the economy and causing massive job losses. Not to mention the fact that lives that could be saved by this vaccine are being lost on a daily basis. We believe there are 16 key points the plan must set out, and we've set those out in our papers. We've also requested the court to adopt a custodial approach in their response, and that government must be given a time period to provide the court with the rollout plan and must update the court every 3 months on the progress towards receiving the vaccines and to rolling them out about South Africa. Now, ideally, it shouldn't have come to court action. A united stand against the COVID-19 crisis in South Africa is essential. And in order to stand together, however, everybody needs to know the information. Everybody needs to know the plan. We believe that government needs to be honest in its reporting and its accounting on the vaccine rollout. To date, government has done none of these things. It dithered as other countries, as early as May last year, realized the importance of vaccines and how they would provide a path out of the coronavirus pandemic. And they set about procuring them. We were only able to procure through the COVAX program 10%, enough vaccines to cover 10% of our population. Government knew then that this would be completely insufficient to be able to roll out a comprehensive vaccine program in South Africa. And we've seen that the way out of the scandal has been for the government and for the president to adopt an approach of spin, of lies, and of subterfuge. The latest of which saw the president seeking to blame other countries for getting in the queue and getting the vaccine for their citizens, and forgetting the fact that we simply were never in that queue, which is why we're sitting scrabbling for vaccines. The president also told the nation that over 6 months ago they had started to negotiate with vaccine suppliers. We know from the vaccine suppliers now that that wasn't the case. And we know too from the National Health Department that that was not the case. This is perhaps best evidenced by the fact that the request by the Department of Health for the Treasury deviations for procurement were only signed on the 7th of January. That is very clear evidence that government only started to scrabble around for scraps and leftover vaccines from around the world once they realized that this was absolutely essential. The blame for the botched vaccine crisis does not lie at the feet of the pharmaceutical companies. It doesn't lie at the feet of those countries that got into the queue and secured the vaccine. It lies squarely with the ANC government and with President Ramaphosa in particular. His government is not the victim of some global conspiracy. The real victims in all of this are the people of South Africa who should have been receiving the vaccine by now. Ultimately, there must be consequences for this. But first of all, we need transparency and truthfulness from government. That can only be achieved once government tables a comprehensive plan, puts it on the table, and ensures that we, as opposition parties, and the media, and civil society, and all of our citizens would be able to hold government accountable to that plan. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, John, and thank you for that address. I think it's absolutely important, particularly also as members of Parliament, that we are also given an opportunity to look at a codified plan that is detailed, that has all these various elements, so that we can ask the relevant questions. A plan is not a PowerPoint presentation, and therefore government cannot simply say we are addressing the nation on a live broadcast and say that that is the plan. And that is why we've taken this step to approach the courts, so that we may be able to force government and make them accountable, not only to opposition parties or members of Parliament, but to the people of South Africa. Thank you very much.
We'll now give an opportunity for questions.